Today's episode of Retail is brought to you by WI Daily and 92.3 FM The Tide. WI Daily is the only daily news publication that covers Williamsburg and York County in Virginia's historic triangle. The Tide 92.3 FM broadcasts a playlist of acoustic, electric, classic, and eclectic selections along with hometown news from WI Daily. Visit tideradio.com or widaily.com for more info. Today, we're joined by Kristi Bell and Sarah Larsen, both of whom own their own community magazines. Kristi publishes Gloucester Living of Best Version Media, and Sarah publishes James River Living and Life on the James. Welcome to the show, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, thank you so much for having us today. My name is Kristi Bell. I'm the publisher of Gloucester Living magazine here in Gloucester County, Virginia. Gloucester Living of Best Version Media is a hyperlocal publication that is micro-targeted the Gloucester, Virginia community, and we help local businesses attract their ideal client and customer through multi-channel branding campaigns. We feature neighbors on the front cover every single month. It really is just a great, engaging publication for our local community.
And Sarah?
Yeah, I'm Sarah Larsen, and I publish Life on the James and James River Living in the Williamsburg area. And it's a similar model. So we both work with Best Version Media. This is their model. They have thousands of magazines, over 1,000 magazines, I'm sorry, nationwide and in Canada. And so we are just part of that success, and we use their model. As Kristi said, we feature families on the cover each month, and we're just bringing these communities together. So while her magazine hits all of, or encompasses all of Gloucester County, my publications go to specific neighborhoods within Williamsburg. So that's really the biggest difference. And then we work with the community to create the magazines, and we work with businesses to reach those audiences.
Okay. I wanted to ask you, with the Best Version Media, is that what it's called? Best Version Media. Tell us a little bit more about it and how you both got even aware of it and into it. And sort of, I suppose then you could take a step back and say, okay, where did I start to even venture into that field?
Yeah, well, I'll start since I was the first one in this area to do that, and then that leads into how Kristi arrived and how we met each other. So I had ended a previous business, and a friend of mine is a publisher in Kentucky with Best Version Media. He knew that we've known each other for many years, and he knew that I had that I was on the lookout for something new. And he reached out and said, "Hey, I'm doing this. I've got 2 magazines here. I think you'd be really good at it, and you should check it out." So he made that introduction, and that was in the fall of 2019 is when I decided to begin that journey. So I did some training with Best Version Media and came on board to start. James River Living was the first publication that I launched.
Okay, and we'll go into a little bit more because I've got some further follow-on questions. But how about Kristi? How does that follow through to you?
So I am fairly new to Gloucester County. We have lived here for 5 years, coming from the South Side. And in my previous venture, I still do have a skincare business, and I have a dear friend who had started her journey in the Virginia Beach market with Best Version Media. And I just watched her. She was growing her skincare business, and then she started her own publications there in the Virginia Beach market. So I reached out to her. I very much love this community. There is so much here to offer, and I felt like Gloucester really needed something to call their own. So I asked her, what are you doing? And she shared with me Best Version Media. I immediately reached out to Sarah, and I went to training, and I said, let's do this. And so I became the publisher, and it has been the best decision. I have fully immersed myself in this community, and it's been a great journey.
Wow. So going back a step then, back to Sarah, because she probably was the first one to have to look into the market. Is there like geographic boundaries and sort of, clauses put into contracts and things?
Yeah, a little bit, but not really, which is not really an answer. But so the magazine has a specific footprint, and Best Version Media works with us to create that footprint. They have specific guidelines that they're looking for. So one of my publications goes to just the Kingsmill neighborhood. The other one goes to 15 neighborhoods along the James on the other side of town. But the distribution is usually, between 2,500 and 3,000 is sort of their goal. But we have some that have many more. We have some that have less. So it just depends on the market, the neighborhoods that it's going to. And then with the sponsorships, we kind of do something a little bit like a territory. It's not really though. Depending on where we bump up to each other, we work with businesses from all over. And then once a business comes in.
Kristi, you may have to continue on with Sarah seems to have frozen for a moment.
Sure, real life, right? So absolutely, we do have those markets, and with the 2,500 to 3,000, that really is the sweet spot. So we are trying to identify and target business owners' ideal client. It is very much a micro-targeted publication and hyper-local. So Gloucester County is a little bit unique in the fact that it is, one county, and it is still pretty rural. We have a population of around 38,000. And so it just makes sense for us to really kind of have an all-encompassing publication for this area, whereas Virginia Beach or Williamsburg may be a little bit different because it is just much larger.
Okay, that's interesting. So does Best Version Media, do they help you with the distribution, or do you need to do that yourself?
They handle all of that for us.
Wow.
So,
Great. They do. We provide the content to them, and we have a designer who is assigned to our publications. Then they do all the printing and layout. The printing and mailing as well. So it's really a great model for us. We don't have to combine all that, but it's also helped us keep costs down because they're printing and mailing thousands of magazines. And we get the benefit of that.
Okay. Abby, I was going to pass over to you for a moment because I feel like I'm.
Yeah. Okay. The one question that's been on my mind this whole time is that, a little story first. My grandma lives in Ocean Park in Virginia Beach, and she was just on the cover of Bayfront Living. And so I just want to know, how did she do that? Did someone reach out to her? Did she reach out to them? I want to know how that
too
works. So
yeah, you see
how someone gets on the cover, because they focused on she has a whole beautiful front yard, garden, patio, plants everywhere, and that's kind of what they focused on. Was she was the plant lady, but did someone approach her? She didn't tell me.
Walk past and say, "Oh, that's a lovely garden. Let's just ask if she could be on our cover."
It was a beautiful spread. It was beautiful. The feature and the article was great, and the pictures. I was just like, how'd you do that, lady? I don't know.
So I can answer that. We definitely take recommendations from neighbors in the community. In fact, we encourage that. We want this to be a publication for the people, by the people. There's something to be said. When that family arrives in your mailbox every single month, there's this emotional connection. Maybe you know them, or maybe you see them at the local soccer field or the grocery store, or maybe it's a fellow church member, and you immediately say to yourself, "Oh my gosh, why are they on the front cover?" That they feel compelled to open up the magazine and read all about them. So that is a great benefit to our business sponsors. because 9 out of 10 people are reading the publication cover to cover. They're going to open it up and they're going to see somebody that they know in each and every issue.
Mhm. So you say, and I know you call them sponsors. In the traditional world, they would be advertisers. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you market to them? Your
You want to hit that one?
potential sponsors.
So I can, and then I'm sure that Sarah can kind of piggyback. We call them sponsors because we do not charge for the magazine. It is delivered directly to these micro-targeted homeowners each and every month. So it is their gift to the community. And again, with that presents those business owners as great community partners. It's a way for them to give back. If you think about, sponsoring a local baseball team at the youth sports league, it's very similar, but you're doing it on a community-wide basis. Sarah, what else? I'm kind of drawing a blank.
Yeah, so the way we market to them is really just, we do look at it as branding for a business because our minimum sponsorship length is 12 months. And we really want them to be in front of our readers every month to build that know, like, and trust that is necessary when you're marketing and looking for new clients. We want, they open the magazine and they see these businesses over and over again. And next to content that is positive, family friendly, and so it, that gives the feel good part of reading our publications. The businesses are also, unlike digital where we're often clicking away, which we do offer a digital component to our magazines. It is not available online, but we offer digital advertising in tandem with the print that we offer at a pretty low price point so that the readers can see these businesses, on their tablets, in their home, it's a multi-pronged approach to marketing. So that's so we reach out directly because unless the business owners live in those neighborhoods, they're not going to likely find out about our publications until they've been around for a while. And both of ours are kind of new. Mine's been around since August, my first one, August of 2020. And Kristi launched a year ago, she just had her 1-year anniversary issue.
Oh, wow. So before that, there was nothing, or
Right.
Yeah, there was nothing at all. Okay. So how do people find like a list of all of the different ones in their area? Like in the whole region, even, if you were like a potential sponsor, we're a regional organization. So if we wanted to put something in there, who do we purchase it from? And how do we find out what publication?
Any publisher is really the answer. We are able to work together. So I can bring a sponsor into Kristi's magazine if it's somebody that I'm already working with. And same with our Virginia Beach publishers. We have over 50 publications in Virginia. There isn't really a list online anywhere, but if you searched for Best Version Media on Facebook or Instagram, you might find those local markets. But other than that, reaching out to us, we can let you know if there's a particular target area that you want to get into, if there are publications there. Here in the Peninsula area where Kristi and I are, we have one other publisher in New Kent. And so she's managing that market. And then beyond that, it's, Richmond and North. And then on the South side, there are quite a few publications.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen, I think it was in Norfolk or something. There was something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more personal.
Okay.
If you don't mind. Well, I was going to say, so Kristi, you lived on the South side and moved to Gloucester. Sarah, are you local or did you also come here?
I came from even farther away. I grew up in Michigan.
Kristi might have too,
Right. I came from Michigan 20 years ago and moved to Williamsburg. So I've been in Williamsburg for 20 years.
It wasn't a military move?
No, strangely enough, my ex-husband was in the automotive industry, which is very Michigan. And he was working with Siemens, which was then bought by Continental in Newport News. And so his division transferred to this area, and we decided to come be part of that. And I never want to go back to Michigan, just to say, I really like
like a
Virginia.
little bit then, yeah.
Yeah.
And Kristi, what about you? Before Gloucester, the South Side, then were you here before that?
Sure. So I actually grew up in the east end of Richmond, and I went to Old Dominion University. That's where I met my husband. He was active duty in the Navy. So we spent the majority of our time in Norfolk. We had 3 children in Norfolk. And once he got closer to retirement, we decided to make the transition to Gloucester. We just fell in love with the community and thought it was a great place to raise our kids.
Yeah, Gloucester is, yeah, it's a great community. Mind you, I think pretty much every city in Hampton Road is a pretty nice place to live. So what then intrigues you to the families that I mean, you're interviewing them yourself, aren't you? No,
So-
you have someone that writes things for you?
You want
Yes.
to explain that, Kristi?
Sure. So on staff, the publisher, so the Sarah and I's, we focus primarily on working with our business owners. So we help them with their local branding campaigns, and customer service is very important. A lot of our small business owners don't even have the staff to have, marketing people. So we essentially take on that role for them. We are community connectors. We are out in the streets, meeting with other business owners, meeting with people, every day, and giving those recommendations and referrals, at every turn. We have what we call our content coordinator, and we also have photographers. Both of those people are local in our community. We hire them, and they are the ones, the content coordinator does all of our writing, kind of gathering all of that community content that our people want to see. And again, for the people, by the people, we ask for our neighbors and our community members to send us information that they would like to see in every issue.
Do people send actual articles, like submit content?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow, that's
Yes, we get a lot of, the biggest one is the pet corner. We get lots of pets. Who doesn't love seeing somebody else's pet? They're so fun. So that's a big one. But we do find, and in other photos and of events and things like that are going on, but we do find occasionally that people who live in the neighborhoods want to contribute an article that, and anybody who receives the magazine is able to do that. So they can write something that's, about a hobby or a local club that they're part of, things like that.
So
Okay.
I will add, in addition to our neighbors and readers submitting content, we do have an opportunity for business owners to submit content. And that's what we like to call our expert contributor program. So this is one business owner per industry that can call themselves the expert. And with that, they get to write articles that are educational in nature. They're typically 500 words or less, something that you can just read over a cup of coffee and kind of go on about your day. But what that does is it allows a business owner the opportunity to really kind of build a relationship, and a reader can hear directly from that owner whatever tips or tricks that they have to share related to their industry. And the business owner can also overcome a lot of objections that they may face on a daily basis in whatever services or products that they have to provide. So, we all know that when you like somebody, trust somebody, you want to spend your money with them. So that's a great opportunity for our local businesses.
Yeah, for sure. That's interesting. Okay, so what would you say then? I mean, that in itself is a selling point.
Mhm.
What are a couple of other things that you would say that you're most excited to be able to tell, like small businesses, say, for instance, about?
I think the biggest thing is just that they have the opportunity to reach an audience who is a little more engaged than say on their computer as they're going about other things. When you sit down with the magazine, you are taking the time to actually look through it, and you're in charge of how long you spend with it. So often, the cover family article is the thing that will bring readers in, but then they're going to come back to that magazine throughout the month and take a look at the calendar of events, or hey, let me check out the real estate listings. That's a hot one these days. Let's see what's going on in the market. So there are things in the content in the magazine that continue to bring readers back. So that gives them the opportunity to see your ad multiple times throughout a month and give it a little more exposure than what you might get from other sources.
Sure. I would just like to say that, in this industry, oftentimes we will get the objection that print is dead or print is old news. And I would encourage people to think the other way around. And I would say that Gloucester Living was actually a product of the times of a pandemic. And in reality, this print publication, this positive magazine showing up in your mailbox every single month, was a breath of fresh air for people in just a really ugly, uncertain time. And so this publication really brought a lot of joy to people, and it continues to do so. We are just flooded every day with so many channels to receive our information, and this shows up in your mailbox, and it's like, I can sit down and just enjoy a cup of coffee or a glass of wine at the end of the day and see all my friends who are in the publication. It really is just a great family focused magazine as well.
Kristi, I was going to say that because I got my master's in publishing, and when I was telling my family and friends I was going to do that, they're like, why would you do that? Print is dead. And I was like, it's not. And people need to unplug, and they need that source where they are not constantly scrolling in the blue light. They need a break. And I just think that's such a positive thing, especially with the community aspect too.
Absolutely. And Best Version Media started in 2007. And at the time, our chairman likes to say that he was asked, like, what are you going to open next? A Blockbuster? Because, print was supposedly already on its way out at that point. And 15 years later, they have grown from 6 publications to over 1,100 and still growing. We add new publishers every day. So it's definitely something that people appreciate. And as to Kristi's point, during the pandemic, even more so.
Right.
Well, and really, just one more thing. I'm sorry, Kylie. We do consider ourselves social media in print. So if you think about your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed, that's what this magazine is. You're not going to see anything controversial or political. You don't have to quiet the noise. It's all stuff that you want to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, it's sort of, amongst all of the junk that pretty much you receive in the mail now, because all the bills and everything just comes online. So it sort of cuts through the clutter a little. People would see it and go, I might actually read this.
Yeah.
So when you both started, starting any business, whether it's a franchise or whether it's independent, it's starting from nothing. That's pretty much where you started from anyway. It's so. What were some hurdles, or just even one, the biggest hurdle you both had to overcome?
You want to say it, or you want me to?
Who wants to go first?
You go ahead.
I think the hardest part is you're starting really from scratch. So unless you have a big network of business contacts to start with, you're doing some cold calling, and nobody really enjoys that. But the point is, like I said, unless you're receiving the magazine, which no one is at that point when you're getting started, that's the only way they're going to find out about you. So it is something that we had to overcome. And then as we grow, we grow our networks, and as we publish, so more and more people find out about us, which is helpful.
I was going to say, you don't have a product to show, before you first publish. So
Yeah.
do you use someone else's from another area just to sort of show what it could be like?
Yes, BVM gives us a sample magazine
Okay.
as a starter that we can show. But yes, we work together. As I said, we have publishers in the area, and we can share their publications as well so that people can understand what it's going to be like.
Okay. And Kristi, what was your biggest hurdle, or was it the same?
I would say that it is the same. However, I did have a pretty large network. I really, having 3 children in a new community really forced me to make a lot of community connections. That's very much important to me. So I do think that helped a little bit. And Gloucester they're very much a small town, big heart kind of place. Like, they love everything community. And it really is just, I have felt a lot of support in bringing this, to this community, and people thank me all the time. So I love what I do. I feel like this is what I was meant to do. I like meeting new people and, really helping people. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you both overcame those hurdles, so that's good. So in the future, do you want to stay with, well, you've got, I was going to say, what are your plans for the future? I should leave it open.
Yeah. Well, I've added on kind of to what I'm doing. I recently started a business coaching side to my business, and I'm going to be launching a podcast myself in January that will be interviewing business owners of all kinds to hear their stories of how they started and the challenges that they've faced and gotten through to create their businesses. And I think 2 magazines is the max for me. We do have publishers with more, but that's it for me.
Yeah. Well, that's still 2 plus doing your,
Yes, plus doing something else. So that's
podcast. Yeah, that's still
probably
a lot.
enough.
Yeah. Even doing 1 is plenty.
Yeah, Kristi can certainly tell you that doing 1 is still a lot.
Yeah.
So Sarah is adding things to her plate, and I'm taking them off of my plate. No, I really do see myself doing this for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a second one in the future. I feel like I want to really, grow Gloucester Living and really just provide a great product to my local community, but not off the table.
Okay. Very cool. I mean, I think there's a lot of expectation, especially from like the entrepreneurial community, or even like larger businesses, to have this growth. Like, everyone needs to grow, and it's like, it's not always the case that you need to grow. You actually, I mean, you're growing personally, you're growing, within what you've got, but it doesn't mean you need to add publications or, buy another territory. It's different for everyone. So I appreciate that answer, Kristi, for
It's
sure.
very true.
So we're running low on time, but I just wanted to give you guys the opportunity to tell our business owners how they can get in contact with you if they're interested, because that is our membership base and that's our audience. And so would you guys just mind saying how they could reach you if they're interested?
Sure. So I can give my email. It's kbell@bestversionmedia.com. And if Gloucester happens to be a market that you're interested in reaching, I'd love to connect.
Absolutely. Same email is slarsen, that's LARSEN @bestversionmedia.com. And my magazines go to the Williamsburg neighborhoods. So if anyone's interested in, targeting that audience, I'd be happy to talk with them. We also have social media pages for the magazines if anybody wants to check them out. The only thing we share from within the magazine on social media is the cover. So you get to see all the cover families that we've had over our time. And the rest of it is just, sharing kind of the content and things like that, but you actually have to get the magazine to read it.
And what if you don't live in the area and you want to get a copy? Is that
You
possible?
could reach out to us, but really it's kind of a private community magazine. So really people outside the area aren't all that interested. So we don't often get that request.
Okay, that's interesting. It's not like if I knew the family or something, like I want a copy.
Yes, and the families do have the opportunity to purchase extra copies.
Mhm.
We usually give them a few as well, but they can get more of their issue before it goes to print so that when it arrives, they can share it with friends and family.
My grandma bought like 15. I swear I've seen them everywhere I go.
Gotcha.
Well,
Great.
and I'll just show you. So this was Gloucester Living's October issue. We actually featured our local fire department and really just kind of talked about, these hometown heroes and how, those men and women and their families are just, so appreciated. But then, something like this, we do, a family on the front cover. And, how do you not read this? It really is just kind of fun showing up in your mailbox.
Yeah.
I must say I got advice to open the cover of the one that came to me. So
Oh, good.
it does work. Bertie, Abby, I think we ran out of time, which I know
Yes.
that there was other things to talk about, but yeah, we try and keep it to a certain length. So
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank
No,
you for the
thank you.
opportunity.
we're going to sign off now. So you've been listening to the Retail Is podcast. And if you've enjoyed what you've heard, you can find more at retailalliance.com/retail-is-podcast or search YouTube for Retail Alliance, which sounds a lot easier to do. Okay, I'm Polly Ross Sybert.
And I'm Abby Cheyenne.
And
Thanks for listening.